Namaste people, I am Anmol Sarkar. So if you guys have seen my earlier videos, you guys must have an idea about who I am and what I am trying to do and what this channel is all about. So if you have not liked and subscribed my channel, please like this video and subscribe my channel. And if you have not watched the earlier video, I will share the video in the comment section, link of the video in the comment section. So without watching this video, don't watch this video because you will not have an understanding of what today's video is all about if you do not have that link of the yesterday's video. Okay, so without wasting any further time, let's get into today's video. In today's video we will be talking about two very important Indologists. The first is known as, goes by the name Friedrich Max Muller, who was a very famous leftist historian in the 18th century, sorry, not in the 18th century, in the 19th century. And second is Adolphe Pictet. These two, understanding these two people is very important for the rest of the history, because their works have been what we say idealized, and their works have been concretized, and the race science, entire race science has been promoted. So first we must understand who is Friedrich Max Muller. Friedrich Max Muller was a descendant of the Romantic movement and its longings for civilizational origin. Okay, so Friedrich Max Muller term is from 1823 to 1900. Basically the entire 19th century was dominated by this person. So if you guys understand, please note the time scale from Sir John Williams from 1799 to Herder's from 18th century Indologist to 19th century. This Friedrich Max Muller, what he did, before understanding his work, we will have to understand what he's trying to say by a famous quote. He said that while in Veda means our Vedas, the Rig Vedas, some 4 Vedas, in the Veda we may study the childhood, we may study in Kant's critic the perfect manhood of an Aryan mind. Now Kant's critic, what is Kant's critic? Immanuel Kant was an German philosophist who has done many works, and one of his famous works is Critique of Reason. So reason, okay. So that Critique of Reason is what he is talking about. Kant's critic, the perfect manhood of Aryan mind. He is talking about the Aryan mind and using Vedas to describe the childhood of Aryan mind, and Kant's critique as the perfect manhood of an Aryan mind. So without wasting any further time, let's go down to what he started. So what he wanted is, Max Muller did not want to use Indian civilization to introduce polytheism into Christianity. Okay, polytheism means many god principles, because he wanted to propagate monotheism and then map Christianity into that Aryan civilization or the Indian civilization. We will come to that later. In this part only we will come to that later. So just remember that he did not want to introduce Indian civilization to introduce polytheism and into development of Christianity the way Renan did. If you have noticed that, how in the last video I talked about how Ernest Renan used the language argument of Hebrews and termed this too rigid, and on the other hand he said that Aryans are polytheists and their language is very versatile and their grammar is also versatile, so their religion is versatile. So basically that is what he differed. He did not want the ideology of Renan to propagate, nor did he go the other way around to make the Aryans appear monotheistic the way Pictet did. Pictet means Adolphe Pictet. We will talk about it in this video only later. Okay, what he wanted to do is he wanted to map Christianity into the Indian languages. Basically he wanted to say that polytheism is immaturity of the ancient Indian civilization. He wanted to say that the ancient Indian civilization were monotheists, okay, but due to lack of maturity the monotheism did not propagate and it became polytheists, which is wrong. They do not understand our Indian culture, so please understand this very well. Our culture was a very plural culture which had place for every ideology in this world. So using that, he said that he distorted that Indians were not mature enough to carry the monotheism on, so they went to polytheism. So that is why Christianity has to step in and make the Indians and the Aryans realize their true potential, and Christianity will be the savior of this world, and Christianity is bound to dominate this world forever. That is how he's mapping Christianity with Indian spirituality. Just remember, basically Indian structure is not very rigid, it's very flexible, it is very open to dynamism, but this guy projected it as a rigid, and then afterward he wanted Christianity to come in and save this, make it dynamic. Okay, so Max Muller wrote on 16 December 1868. Okay, he wrote that the ancient religion of India is totally doomed, if Christianity doesn't step in, whose fault will it be? Whose fault will it be? Listen to this very carefully, how dangerous these people are. The ancient religion of India is totally doomed, means he's saying the polytheism is totally doomed, and if Christianity doesn't step in, whose fault will it be? In this, now second is, now this is very important, in a letter which he wrote to his wife in 1868, he wrote that, I hope I shall finish that work and feel convinced that though I shall not live to see it, yet this edition of mine and translation of Vedas will hereafter tell to a great extent on the fate of India and the growth of million souls in this country, and through this ideology we are what we are today. Okay, now listen to this very, very carefully. I hope I shall finish the work and feel convinced that though I shall not live to see it, yet this edition of mine and translation of Vedas will hereafter tell to a great extent on the fate of India, on the growth of millions of souls in this country. In the same letter, he wrote that the Vedas, now this is very important, the Vedas is the root of their religion, and to show them what the root is, I feel sure is the only way of uprooting that has been sprung from it during the last 3000 years. This sentence is very important. The Vedas is the root of their religion, and to show them what the root is, I feel sure the only way of uprooting all that has been sprung during the last 3000 years. In other words, he saw the contemporary Indian civilization of the polytheism of multiple gods as a corrupt form of ancient civilization, and he wanted to project that polytheism, that is many gods in this country, is a corrupt form of ancient civilization, and it does not have any divinity with it to realize the nature. Okay, so this is where the thought process of Frederick Max Muller ends. Okay, so you will have to understand him very, very, very carefully. Now the second is Adolphe Pictet. Okay, Adolphe Pictet, his term was from 1799 to 1875. Okay, he was a Swiss linguist with another ethnographer determined to praise the Aryan heritage of, basically he was a romanticist who fell in love with the Indian culture and all. Now later how he distorted we will see. Now he said that the Aryans, which was termed as the native Indo-Europeans, were destined to conquer the world, because he is citing Renan in this case. The Renan's argument of language and religion is citing it, and is telling that the Aryans were destined to conquer the world. Pictet determined that the proper religious orientation of an Aryan mind was monotheism. India never said that in any of the Vedas. India was actually a advocate of dynamism, but this guy made this, and this Max Muller made it rigid. Pictet determined that the proper religious orientation of Aryan mind was monotheism, thus providing justification of the Christian European Aryans to colonize Indian Aryans who had lapsed from monotheism. That is what I was trying to tell you. Because he wanted to map Christianity into Indian Aryans who were lapsed from monotheism, they're monotheists, and then because they were immature, they could not continue it further. His goal was like that of Renan and Miller, was to deploy philology to bring Europeans the appreciation of birthplace of the world's most powerful race, the very race that which they belong. Okay, so this was Adolphe Pictet, and the second is, according to Pictet, the Indo-European heritage had unity in diversity inherently built into it. There was diversity in Aryan dialects from outset. Okay, so now what happened is, in this process, India, who were descendants of early Aryans and who represented the original homeland, had now been colonized by European Aryans to receive beneficial influence of modern civilization. And this was going to happen through Christian missionaries, and Christianity was destined to rule over the world. So this is how the deploy of these two historians ended, were projected into this. If you go to British, UK and US, and mostly in Jerusalem, Israel, they have a very famous, what we say, projection, no, not projection, the word what we say, future, like I'm not remembering that word. What is that word? They were very fortune telling you, no, they are very famous fortune telling that Christianity will save the world and Christianity will win. Prophecy, sorry, yes, the word is prophecy. They have a very famous prophecy that the entire Europe will be taken over by Muslims and other people, and only the Christians will come from outside and save the, and Christianity will win at the end. So this is what their prophecy is, and that prophecy is based on this, what we say, Miller's works and Pictet's work. Okay, so that was it, guys. This was, I guess, a very short video. So please enjoy and have a great time. So in tomorrow's video, we will cover of Adolf Frederick Gau and Gobineau's race science, how this race science was further propagated from 19th century to 20th century, and how it led to eventually rise of German nationalism and Nazism. Okay, so thank you guys. Have a nice day.